Okay, so let's get started. Given that sine of 30 is equal to 1/2, find all of these right here. So first, let me draw a right triangle. So we know that one side is 30, meaning, and we know that this is 90, meaning this is 60. So this is our special triangle, 30, 60, 90. So sine, to find sine, so let's write our acronym right here. So ka to so to find sine, it's opposite over, to find sine of 30, it's opposite over hypotenuse. So now that we know that, oh, that's not the hypotenuse. Okay. Opposite over hypotenuse. So now that we know that, we can deduce that 60 will be root 3 because we know that in our special 30, 60, 90 triangle, 30, 60, 90 triangle, our the side opposite to 60 is root 3, or we could use the Pythagorean theorem and it will give us the same result. Okay, so cos of 30 is adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent, which is this side, over hypotenuse. So root 3 over 2. Tan of 30 will be opposite over adjacent, which is 1 root 3, but we can't leave it like that, so times 3, which is equal to root 3 over 3. Now cosecant is the opposite or reciprocal of sine, so it's going to be 1 over sine, or the reciprocal of sine. So since sine is 1/2, this is going to be 2. Let me just make that more clear. And then secant is the opposite of cosine, so that's going to be 2 over root 3, or we have to make that simpler, so root 3, which is going to be 2 root 3 over 3. And cot, or cotangent, is the opposite of tangent, so it's going to be 3 over root 3, or root 3, so it's equal to 3 root 3 over 3, or just root 3. And there we have it. Let me just highlight all my answers. This is my first answer, second answer, third answer, fourth answer, and fifth answer. And secant and cotangent are just reciprocals of, so secant is reciprocal of cosine, so 1 is equal to secant, and 1 over tangent is equal to cotangent. Okay, so it says convert 30 degrees to radians. Okay, so first we have to know that 2 pi is equal to 360 degrees. Now we can use a proportion to solve. So 30 over 360 is equal to x over 2 pi, meaning we can simplify, take off the zeros right here, and we can then cross multiply, making 6 pi is equal to 36x. Then we multiply both sides by 36, meaning we get pi over 6. Let me draw a better pi. Pi over 6 is equal to x, because 6 over 36 is just 1 over 6. So pi over 6 is equal to x, meaning 30 degrees is equal to pi over 6 radians. And there we have it. Okay, now it says determine and graph coterminal angles of 30, one negative and one positive. So let me first graph 30. So 30 will be less, this is 90 degrees and this is 0 degrees. So half will be 45. So let's say 30 will be right there with our initial side right there. So that's 30, right? Now coterminal angles are angles in which we have to either add 360 to find our angle or subtract 360. So first let's subtract 360. If we subtract 360 from 30, 30 minus 360 is equal to a negative 330. So that's one of them. Our first degrees is a negative 330 degrees, and then we can add a 360 to find another coterminal angle, which will be 390 degrees. Okay, so right there, 390. Okay. Now let me erase 30 and graph both of those angles on here. So let's see. First, so this is the negative 330. And if it's a negative 330, it is going to go, the direction it's going to move, since it's a negative, is clockwise. So let's see. That's our initial side. And then right here will be 90, 180, 270. And then we have to add 60 more. Meaning, since this will be 45, half will be 45, and then 15 more, so at 30. So this right here will be, and let me draw the arrow. There we go. 330 degrees. There we go. $330, and then 390 degrees will go counterclockwise. So let me draw that in red. So we're still gonna have the same initial side, and then we're gonna go 390, meaning we'll go one whole rotation to get to 360, and then add 30, meaning again the same angle, but the way we go changes. So that this right here is 360 degrees. There we go. And to convert to radians, we can still use the same proportion. So let's do negative 330 first. So negative 330 degrees over 360 degrees will be equal to x over 2 pi, because 2 pi radians is equal to 360 degrees. So negative 660, we cross multiply, 60 pi is equal to 360x. Divide both sides by 360. You get negative 66 pi over 36, because I cancel out the zeros. And then we do negative 11 over 6 pi is equal to x. So this is negative 11 over 6 pi. So let me just make sure I did it right. So yeah, okay, so that's fine. And then we can do the same thing with 390, which is 390 over 360 is equal to x over 2 pi. Then we multiply. Well, we can first do this, and then we can simplify it even further and say that, so if we simplify by 3, this will be 13, and this will be 12. Okay. So 13 over 12, meaning 26 pi is equal to 12x. Divide both sides by x, you get 26 over 12 is equal to x, or in other terms, 13 over 6 is equal to x. 13 over 6 pi. There we go. 13 over 6 pi. Now that we have that, let me just minimize all my work so that my next question is, there we go. And then the last question, find two other angles that have reference angles of 30. Okay, so first let's draw a coordinate grid. Right, that's our coordinate grid. So a reference angle of 30, a reference angle is basically an angle that, so a reference angle of 30 will be, okay, so from 30 degrees, so let's just say this is 30 degrees. From 30 degrees, what is the closest way to reach the x-axis? So from the terminal side, what is the closest way to reach the x-axis? So in this case, that would be 30, because this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis, right? Now it's asking us to find two other angles that have reference angles of 30. So an angle can be here, or it can be here. Or it can be here. So, okay, so let's see. So let's find a reference angle in quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. Okay, so this is a simple one because we know that this right here, this angle right here will be 180 degrees, right? Meaning the x-axis is 180 degrees in quadrant 2. So to reach 180 degrees, or like to have a reference angle of 30 which reaches 180 degrees, we'll have to subtract 30 from 180, and that will be our reference angle of 150. Because since it's at 150, which will be around here, 150, meaning that it won't go all the way back to 0 degrees to just for the reference angle. It'll go to the nearest point of the x-axis, which is right here. So this will have a reference angle of 30, meaning 150 degrees has a reference angle of 30. Now to find a reference angle of, now to find a reference angle in quadrant 3, we have to realize that this angle will also have to go back to 180, because if it doesn't, it'll go this way, and that will be in quadrant 4. So we have to realize that this right here is 180 and this is 270, so the angle is between those two. And we know that 150 goes, so we'll have to add 30 to 180 to get our second angle, which has a reference angle of 30, which will be 270 degrees. 210 degrees, because 210 will be, let's say, right there. Let's do a rotation in a different color, so let's go like that, right? Now, the nearest point to the x-axis will be right there, meaning it has a reference angle of 30. And that's it for today.